Hello everyone, and welcome to our new webinar. Basically, the project webinars consist of webinars that are based on current trends in live e-learning or live training programs. The webinar approval requirement is to obtain your, to obtain your digital webinar certificate, you must complete the following requirements. First, an attendance at the webinar of at least 45 minutes, which will be 50 points. Take the assessment test, which is 25 points. Carry out the leisure activity, 25 points. And pass with a minimum of 70 points. This is the 18th free webinar, Making Learning Fun and Engaging for Students, with Master Sharon Frame. Sharon Frame is a current teacher of superior speaking at CEC-EPN. It's a subject she has taught at the university for 2 years now. She is a public speaking expert, a published author of 4 books, a high-performance coach, and a former CNN news anchor. Ms. Frame attended Emerson College in Boston, Massachusetts, where she got a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. Sharon came to Ecuador in 2018 as a teacher volunteer with World Teach, and later returned to Ecuador as a full-time teacher. Sharon secured her TOEFL certificate at CEC-EPN and is now pursuing her master's degree in pedagogy at Católica University here in Quito. Even though Sharon is a TV journalist by trade, she has been a teacher for most of her life in one way or another, teaching at several colleges in the United States while serving as a TV anchor reporter in several states. Her task-based teaching methodology is the communicative, language, and natural approach. It is based in students learning by doing, and she is a big proponent of making learning fun and engaging for students. That is the topic of today's webinar. Sharon, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bernard. I appreciate the opportunity to share today, and it is quite an honor to get into the opportunity of learning and teaching through engaging our students and actually having fun. So that is the topic, making learning fun and engaging for students, learning by doing. And let me ask you a question. Who is your favorite teacher? If you can look back and think back on your life when you were going to school, can you recall one teacher that comes to mind? I remember my favorite teacher, and I also remember my teacher who was my least favorite teacher. My least favorite teacher was a teacher in 6th grade. Her name was Mrs. Green, and she was a dictatorial figure who wanted everybody to understand that she was the teacher and they were the students, and never the twain shall meet. So she was highly disciplined, and I remember once she had us study for a spelling test, and the way she had her test figured out, we had to stand around the classroom and in a U shape, and she'd give the question to the first person. If you didn't know the answer, she'd slap you in your hand with a ruler, and you had to go to the back of the class. So that also taught me never to do that, to embarrass your students in public and to degrade students. And that's the reason why I didn't particularly care for her. I couldn't learn much in her class because she was extremely mean, and she was not consoling, and she always punished you if you did not get the right answer. To juxtapose that against my favorite teacher in the same school in 5th grade, a woman who was very warm and was concerned about my needs as a human being, not just how I did academically. And I remember our school was going on a wonderful little trip outside of the town one day, and I did not have the wherewithal. My parents did not have the money, and I remember Mrs. Brown just took me in her classroom, and she said, "I wish I had known you didn't have the money, Sharon. I would have helped you." And that statement alone changed my life in terms of how I look at students. I remember Mrs. Green's class, after I got set up, and I was only 11 years old, I was actually promoted from the 4th grade to the 6th grade, to Mrs. Green's class, and I remember being so frustrated. I packed up my bags, my book bag, And I just traced myself down to 5th grade. I left her class. Didn't ask anybody's permission. I just didn't want to be there because I wasn't learning. It wasn't a healthy environment for me. So I ended up in Mrs. Brown's class. She was a 5th grade teacher, and I loved every minute of her teaching. So as I'm telling you my personal story, I'm sure you've got a teacher that reminds you of someone who enveloped you in love and cared about you. And that's one thing you can do to engage your students. So today I'm going to give you some of the pointers that I use even as I'm teaching English to superior speakers, how you can still create an atmosphere of love and warmth and comfort. And when you do that, you actually promote exponential learning amongst your class and with your students. So there's a phrase that I always hear, and I thought it was apropos for today. In order to teach us, the first step I'm going to share with you, how about building trust? What do we do to build trust? I know we're academics, I know we're talking about academics and learning English, but let me tell you something. When students trust you, they know that they can count on you to teach them and show them the way. When they know that you care, they will show up when they're feeling sick. They will show up because they want to, not out of obligation. The quote says, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And students can read a teacher when they care and when they don't care. And my situation, again, was Mrs. Green. She didn't really care about me as an individual. She just wanted to get her point across and teach me with a heavy hand of discipline. So as we talk today and have this wonderful conversation about how we can engage our students and make learning fun, just remember, you as a teacher, you set the atmosphere as soon as that child walks in the classroom, as soon as that adult walks in the classroom, or as soon as they click on and open up their laptop and they're waiting for you with great anticipation. You and I, we set the atmosphere for the students. So what kind of atmosphere do we want to set? We want to set one of trust. There is power in a child's ability to trust a teacher. And there are a number of things I do in my class to develop that trust. On Mondays and Fridays, I set aside time, particularly with the students in mind, to make sure that they understand that I can connect with them. I make time on Monday, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes before class, to talk about their weekend. Have them involved in the conversation. So, Maria, what's going on? How was your weekend this weekend? What did you and your family do? Give them space to express themselves and to ask some personal questions that to tie them in to that trustworthiness. So they know it's not just about, oh, we're going to learn how to speak and learn about figurative language today. We're going to learn some vocabulary. All that is good. But to build up to that and to have your students hankering for more, wanting to be in your class, the best modality, first and foremost, is to develop a trust. And so I call it my pre-class YAPA. And I know YAPA is very, well known in Ecuador because it means the extra. So I always give the extra in the morning, whether it's talking about their lives, what they did on their holidays, something that's interesting to them, and we can all have some meaning together and to bond together. If they're having concerns, if you build that trust, if there are any problems in the classroom, they feel very comfortable telling you about it, coming to you with it, okay? And that helps with the learning process. So there are a couple other things I do, the extra, the breaking news extra in the morning. I bring the YAPA and developing that personal relationship. When I teach, I want students to know that we honor their culture. I am from a different culture, but I want to know about their culture. When we talk about American culture, it is not superior or inferior, it's just different. It's not superior to Ecuadorian culture. So I like to have conversations with my students and let them, and empower them to feel like, yes, what you think and what you say, it really matters. And you'd be surprised how you open up a Pandora's box of students wanting to be engaging in the conversation when you give them the floor to talk about what's in their culture, how do they see things in life. And I know this is all not applicable to possibly your situation, so I'm hoping today at least one or two nuggets that I drop, you can possibly incorporate that in the way you teach. So teaching with authenticity, you see that as, that's point 4. It's important for us as teachers not to feel like we know everything and we don't have issues or problems. is because what happens that sets us up as the all-powerful authoritative person, and this is the little mediocre student down here, and never the twain shall meet. And that's really very, very problematic because students don't trust you. They feel like you're different from them or you're so higher than them, they can't even reach you. And I'm not saying we have to be their friends on their level, but you can be their friends and be on your level and extend that sense of care. And, you know, when you don't make it, I always tell my students things that don't work out well for me, and we make a joke about it. It brings about a bond that connects with your students so they trust you. And again, that's the first point, developing that trust. What I call it, it shrinks that void. There is this gap between the teacher and the student. And sometimes it's very difficult for the students to overcome the barrier. So when we come down and see things from their perspective sometimes, understand their pain and their hesitation to speak in class, and encourage them with love and concern, it really shrinks that cultural gap between the teacher and the student. So I have a video I'd like to show you on the reason why there's power in relationships in school. I'll share that right now with you. And hopefully you can take some notes and we can have a conversation around that. Let's see if I can find which one it is. Okay, I'm not sharing the right, stop sharing. I'm looking for a particular video. Hold on. Sometimes we have this thing called technical issues in our classrooms as well. Let me see if I can find the right one. It's not allowing me to pick up the video that I want. This happens to me quite often in class when we're working with video. Sometimes it's problematic, but if not, it's not allowing me to choose the right video. Let's see. Okay, the power of relationships. Here it is. So I'd like you just to listen to it. It's only about a 3-minute video, but it's all about why relationships are very important in school.
Sorry, Sharon, to interrupt, but there is no audio.
Lovely. So you see there now, this video was primarily dealing with the kindergartners and elementary school students. Trust me, you guys, I teach adults. I teach people who are in college, as you do as well, but I also teach adults, superior speaking, adults who are in full-time working environment. And the need for human beings to feel to feel a sense of belonging in a classroom, to feel a sense of affirmation, like the teacher cares. It has no boundaries with age. It transcends age. It could be a 4-year-old child or a 25-year-old adult or a 65-year-old adult. My oldest student was in her late 50s, I think she was early 60s, and they were just as needing of human connection as the 5 or 6-year-old. So please don't look at the video and think, oh, that's just for elementary kids and the young kids. No, no, no. You can apply this because it's human tendency. It is a human desire to be a part of something better, to be affirmed by each other. So just those philosophies of humanity really can help you accelerate the learning of a child. So there is such amazing power in a relationship in a classroom. So the second point I'd like to talk about beyond building those strong relationships with your students is to use meaningful task-based exercises. These are exercises that call upon the child to be creative, to come up with their own answers, to figure things out on their own. So they're not just learning by rote learning, or they're just not memorizing things and saying, and just doing it without even having a connection with a meaningful connection in their lives. And so when you have a task-based exercise, you give the students the opportunity to really recreate what you taught. And that emphasizes the fact that they're learning the process. I know we are limited in time, and I know we only have 2 hours and et cetera every day and only have 8 weeks if that's your situation, but there's so many little things we could do to make sure that our students are learning exponentially and having fun in the process. I always tell my children, if we're not having fun, please don't invite me to the party, because I believe that students learn and people learn, whether you're on the job or whether you're in the classroom. People learn more rapidly, they learn faster, they're more willing to learn when you make it an engaging opportunity for them to have fun, for them to engage in what we're talking about, to make the examples that we're using and the exercises and the tasks, to make it engaging and meaningful to them. So say, for instance, we're having a debate, and we typically will have one of our major exams as a major debate, but I don't take a subject matter that is alien to our students. I don't take a subject matter that might be general to the world. We're looking for something that impacts Ecuador. We're looking for something that impacts their lives. And so they're more vested in the conversation. So I'll take a poll. We'll take a vote. Everyone has to pitch in an idea for the actual debate topic, and then we will vote on it. And then obviously I have the last say, but I'm looking for something that has real world value to them, real value in Ecuador. How can we turn some of our lessons and our tasks, even our books, make sure that they reflect the culture of Ecuador, make sure that they reflect what's going on in their neighborhood and in their community and in their country. That's those task-based exercises. Say, for instance, you're talking about learning certain words. You make it task-based where they get their hands in the process. Let me give you an example. I'm going to show you, and let's see if we can share on this. Because I just had my students yesterday learn a couple of new words, and this is really interesting. I can't really get to what I want. Anyway, one of the YAPA programs that we do every day, or every Monday and Wednesday, is to make sure our students are learning advanced English words. And so I will roll a videotape on advanced English words, then I'll put them in groups, and I've allotted, everybody has an accountability partner. It's the way of making sure that when they're dealing with their task-based exercises, they're not working alone. And if they don't understand some of the instructions, they can ask their accountability partner if they're still a little afraid of talking to teacher. And sometimes it happens the first week or so. But having a partner to talk to and do homework outside of the classroom. I do all sorts of lesson plans outside the classroom, whether it be setting up our WhatsApp page. They are responsible for setting it up. The two that we have this semester is one, they came up with the name Sharon's Sharks or something. And then there's another one last semester they came up with Yappa Adventure. Yappa Avenger, because it was the Yappa the Extra and Avenger, they love movies. So we give them as much control of coming up with creative things so they feel part of the program. It's not an alien thing, it's what they're helping to create. I was hoping I could share with you some of what they do in the classroom. We're learning, last week we spent the first week talking about root words and using prefixes, suffixes, affixes, etc. And I'm not just standing there teaching them. I make sure that I present the lesson, and then they have to interpret it with homework. And then they have to present a presentation form style using the words that they learned. And I'm hoping that I can get to it, but apparently it's just showing something else. If Bernard can help me out, I'd greatly appreciate it. Or Christian, I'm not sure why I'm just getting this video. So anyway, here we go. I think I have it. You guys, thank you for your patience. Sometimes it's really tough to find all of the things that you want to share when sometimes. There we go. All right, so this is an example from, I think, no, that's not it. That's another issue. Trying to find our example here. There we go. This is an example of one of our students' presentation yesterday. We were talking about advanced words. And I'm showing this to you because it's task-based. I'm not just teaching them. I'm showing them that you have got to teach yourself. I will teach you. I'll give you the tools. But then I want you to show me that you have learned it. So I put them in pairs and teams of accountability partners. And then I'll do breakout sessions sometimes, or sometimes this will be actual homework. So they've got to get together with their team members, and all these are tremendously using the adverbs and breaking words down. So they have fun while they're creating this. This is their creative juices flowing, and they have fun. And it's not just using the word undeniably, but breaking it down, finding the root word, deny, and asking, well, what is the prefix, the suffix, the affix, and how can you blossom one word, deny, and make 14 different words based on how you categorize it, and then use it in a sentence. And then I give them extra points for using these words in conversation throughout the cycle. So that's just one example of how the lesson is task-based, and it forces the students to learn by doing. And when we do, we remember things. When we do, and we do it in groups, we have a lot more fun. So I'm thankful that this quote comes nicely as I was just referencing it. Tell me and I will forget. Show me and I may remember. Involve me and I will understand. When you engage your students in the process, when you involve them in the process, no matter what age they are, young kids love to say, how can I help? What can I do? And you really harness their energies that way. I teach my students this. And it's usually on one of their quizzes because I want them to know if they hear something, they will forget it. If they see it, more than likely they will remember it. They might remember. But when they do it, that is when they understand. Okay, and that's why we do so much engagement exercises in the classroom. So here's a wonderful little graph about student learning. And there are a couple of things I just wanted to point out on the graph. What we do when we help students become more engaged in the process of learning, more responsible for their own takeaways from the learning process, is called student-centered. It is centered around making sure the students not just memorize things and just get through a textbook, but how can they use the information in the textbook? How can we add information to the textbook? Information like tasks and more exercises that help the students to feel like they are empowering themselves, the different learning styles, giving them feedback at the end of the day. One of the things I do at the beginning of the class, and again, it depends on what the level of your students are, I make sure my students at the first day fill out a self-assessment sheet. In fact, I mail it to them before they get to class first day to get a sense of what is it they're looking for. Now, this is, of course, dealing with an older group, but I want to know why they're taking this class, because I can then figure out what I need to concentrate some extra effort on. If I know a student is looking to, okay, work hard because they want to take the TOEFL, or they're going abroad to study somewhere else and they really need to master English, or they want to get a better job. I've had students who wanted to get a promotion, so they take this class. And so I need to know that, so I need to know how I can be flexible with my schedule and my agenda, and to identify the needs, the unique needs of my students. And again, I'm saying some of this, what I'm talking about, might not necessarily work for your group, but hopefully you can pick one or two of those things that we're talking about today. So adding the emotion and the engagement and the involvement, it's so very critical accelerating of child's learning. The other one we want to talk about, the other point, is to incorporate lesson-supported videos. I 125% encourage you to use as many videos as possible in your class when it is applicable, when it is apropos. It helps to undergird your lesson. It helps to underscore what you're talking about. It helps to support the crux of your lesson plan. So if we incorporate lessons that are supported in the video form, that is so helpful. For me, as I said, the YAPA program, it's the pre-class video. Typically, our students will chime in around 7 o'clock. Some of them are a little late, especially when they're in the classroom. They come in around, they know that they're early up until quarter after the hour. You know, after that, they're late. So as opposed to wasting 10 minutes waiting for students to show up, I always put a video in. It's a YAPA video. It has extra information, something that I might be teaching during the lesson, and I want to underscore it with a video. I'll show it the next day in video form. Then we have a wonderful opportunity to talk about it. So I call the videos my assistant teachers, and I've got a couple of examples of that to show you. But let me explain to you why it is so very important in this day and age when everything is run basically by Google and video. The students already are professionals at video. My students, they create their own video. In fact, our last exam was a video compilation of everything they learned in 8 weeks. They had to come up with stories. Everything, 16 different items that they learned, major items. They had to pull it together and create a movie. And the kids loved it because that's their genre. They love that kind of stuff. And it helps them to speak more confidently on camera, helps them to think in English. And so there's a video I'd like to show that deals primarily about the strengths of using video in your classroom. Let us see if the magical video will work under Google Chrome. Google Chrome. Let's see if I can find which one it is I'm looking for. Not allowing me to pull up the right video. Hold on. Un momento, por favor. No, that's not it. Okay, 5 advantages. Here it is. 5 advantages of using media in online classroom. This is very powerful stuff. Let me start. Number 1, media appeals to multiple learning styles. It really does. So you've got those students who are kinesthetic learners, those who are visual learners, auditory learners, and we have a different level of learners in addition to that. It helps to make them identify those learning capabilities. The second point, I just think we missed it, it creates an authentic learning experience. They can see the connection between what is real and what is conceptual. Third, it actually strengthens their critical thinking skills. Hands-on activities involving media challenge students to use their creative skills to make connections between the ideas and the concepts. It teaches them how to use the media, and you know they're already very much savvy with the media. They're very familiar with popular mediums such as YouTube, etc. It connects theories and concepts together. And that's the beautiful thing. As I said, my students do a lot with media. We have our WhatsApp group, and it's an opportunity to extend the conversation outside of the classroom. I give them homework. I reinforce the homework on WhatsApp. If someone is going to be late, they text me and let me know what's going on. If they're having problems with internet, they just text. If they miss something, they have their accountability partner. So there's a conversation that's going on outside the classroom, and they love it. One of the examples, they had to, once they decided, we learned the first 12 advanced learning words in English, these advanced learning words, and they had to go on the internet, on their WhatsApp rather, and videotape a presentation on their words and use them in sentences. We watched a videotape and they had to give us their interpretation by presenting on video. And so there's a lot you can do with video, and you can extend the classroom. So we're teaching for 2 hours, and sometimes we can't get everything in there. So you can extend the classroom. We'll just have a backup by using WhatsApp or other mechanisms online to really extend the conversation beyond the 2 hours if you so desire. Now, sometimes video is powerful in that it can allow you to do whatever grammatical grammar task you have. You can turn a piece of video into a learning utensil. And I'm going to share this video with you. It's a commercial, but I was teaching the students how to be powerful when they deliver speeches and how you can speak without speaking. In fact, body language impacts your audience 55% of the time. Words impact your audience only 7% of the time. So we distinguish that by looking at videos and the impact we have on people by just the way we hold our hands, the inflection in our voices, the way we raise our voices with verbals or nonverbals. So one of the things, the one of the video that they really, really appreciate is this video, and it's an actual commercial. They don't know it's a commercial, so I have them watch the video as a homework project and then come back and talk about what their perceptions were. Let me see if I can find this video and share it with you guys. All right, let's just see if I'm going to the right processing. That's wrong. Oh my. That's the wrong one. Let me stop that. Am I hitting the right button, you guys? We're about to stop sharing 2 applications. Do you want to stop? Yes, I do. I guess. Okay, so here we are back to square one. Let me see if I'm hitting the right chord here. Google Chrome, that's what I'm supposed to be hitting. I think I'm hitting the wrong thing. All right, and as I'm talking to you and I'm telling you I'm hitting the wrong thing, that's exactly what I'll say to my students. You know, and sometimes they'll raise their hands, teacher, you need to do this. Teacher, try this. I love it. We have great conversations because teacher doesn't know everything, right? And so I have them help me in the process. Here's the video. I hope that if you just watch this video, and if I didn't tell you it was a commercial, because there are no words. So we talk about how we transmit information. But you, depending on what level you're teaching, you could use the same video and talk about simple present or whatever it is you're teaching. You can incorporate video in there, and the students don't even know that they're learning simple present until you bring it up after they've had this conversation and watch this great video. So watch this. And you never know that this is a Budweiser commercial until you see the sign that says Budweiser. I use this video just as a teaser to get their emotions going. What's in this video? What is the message in this video? You know, and some will say, oh, we're talking about friendship, this little dog got lost. In fact, that's the name of the video, The Lost Dog. this video got lost, the dog got lost, and the animals are such great friends that the horses went to find him, and yada. There's just so many different stories you can thread from this. But if you're talking about simple present, you know, you can talk about that. Like having them have a conversation. Everybody loves a dog. Everybody wants to make sure that the dog gets home safely. And so for my adult students, what we're looking for is how commercials can influence us without them saying a word. What happens is you are now, because you feel so soft and warm and fluffy about a dog finding his way home after getting lost, you're like, oh my goodness, and at the end you see Budweiser. So we talk about manipulation in commercials and how what they do, they appeal to our senses as human beings and our emotion. So what we have is a situation when you go into the store now, without them saying a word, you're more closely aligned with Budweiser because it connects with that beautiful story of the dog. And that's what marketing is all about. So the question is, how do you market your lessons? How do you say things without saying them? Using pictures and videos and things that connect with our hearts and our emotions, that engages the student, that makes them have fun in the process. And then at the end, they're like, oh, by the way, you know that was a simple present we were talking about. He goes, she walks, he talks, we look, whatever, however you want to couch it. If I'm dealing with, for this, I could be talking about any kind of things that relate to public speaking, whether it's be marketing and how you can connect with your audience on an emotional level. Okay, so there's so many different things we can do with video. So I encourage you to look at video in a different way and engage your students in a wonderful conversation. The next point I'd like to mention and encourage you to incorporate in your lesson plan is to develop student accountability and teamwork. That has helped me a lot. And depending again on the level you're teaching, I am big on teamwork. That's why we do a lot of the things in breakout sessions. Today we had our breakout sessions because our students had their first exam coming up on Tuesday, and they're formatting the structure of their first speech. So we break them up into groups, and then they're accountable for each other, and their accountability partners, they are accountable. You know, someone's going to be absent, someone's missing some homework. They work together on homework on our WhatsApp group. And that helps to build confidence and camaraderie, accountability, teamwork, collaboration. It is amazing how many people develop great, deep friendships after the class because they're working together for 8 long weeks. Everybody knows everybody's names after a while. And so that teamwork, even if you have, you've got students who are on a lower level, they can still work together. Sometimes they feel more comfortable. If I have a student who is more rapido, that's like a Speedy Gonzalez, they get things done really fast. You think it should take 10 minutes and they take 3. I put them in charge of a couple of other students who are not as fast. That empowers them to feel like, whoa, I'm the teacher's assistant today. Yes. And I'm going to help so-and-so to get it right. And so I pair them together, the weaker the stronger, to pull them together. All right, so I give students assignments. If it's just looking up a word and coming back and presenting it to our class, you give them assignments so they are accountable and they are running to class because they want to be a part of it. And if you overlook them, they'll remind you, teacher, I was supposed to share today. And starting next week, I do something called the Sub Club. Sub Club is something I put together to push my students into speaking. It's 12 different speaking roles, and they run the meeting Monday and Wednesday for about a half hour. It's a business meeting, and everybody rotates in the role, and it's incredible what happens when they are responsible to run the meeting. They show up, and they dress up, and they do their PowerPoints, and they're accountable to make sure everybody's on their team. They call people up and leave little notes, because I tell them, this is what you need to do to run a business. This is how you need, because we're not teaching students just to learn grammar, we're teaching them to live life, to develop bonds, to know how to be able to negotiate through life and navigate through life. So the things that we teach them today, in addition to grammar and learning English, it's also to teach them how to be self-confident in life, to get along, to develop teamwork and accountability. So I think that's a part of our responsibility as well. So I create environments where they have to be engaged. There is no, volunteering in my class. I tell them, your grade, 40% of your grade is class participation, and the other 60 is class participation, because I teach public speaking. There's no one silently sitting around thinking that I'm going to do all the teaching. So I make sure that every single day, every single one of my students are having conversation, whether it's with me, with their group, but they're going to be talking, and they're going to be incorporating those particular words that we've learned, whether it's figurative language, whether it's to debate. Sometimes, one of my classes, we had reading of Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, which is a short narrative, and they had to write the sequel to that. And they determined how they're going to put together, I teach them how to put together a murder trial, and they had to actually execute a murder trial. Talk about engaging. They learn all these terminologies. Talk about engaging. We talk about debating. Our last debate was about something to do with the coronavirus. Should we have shut down earlier? Did we shut down too late? Is it hurting the economy? You'd be surprised how much these students know, giving them the opportunity to exchange their ideas and their thoughts and facts. And I know, you guys, this is a lot I'm telling you, and not everything might be applicable to your class, but there's something else we can do. If it's 5 minutes, out of your 2 hours, if it's 10 minutes out of your 2 hours, have your students more engaging, that is connected somehow to your lesson. And they don't even realize it, that they're learning while having fun, okay? So there is this thing, the accountability, teamwork that I teach, and this is the video that I show about how we've got to be, concerned about others, and how you can use these amazing videos to, again, weave them into the bottom line of your lesson. What does this video say about learning adjectives, or how to change adverbs into verbs, etc., how to making a sentence, staying away from run-on sentences, etc., auxiliaries, whatever it is you're teaching, you can incorporate it in a video. And because our world runs on videos, our students are captivated by videos, it's important for us to use it as a proper tool to our advantage. Because, attention span is only 8 seconds long. And if they're going to listen for 2 hours, they're not listening. Trust me. If that's all we're doing is talking, they're not listening. They're looking at you, but they're not really. So we have to engage them and make sure that we get feedback from them and ask them. So what was the assignment for homework again? I have someone reiterate what I told them. So I know they're just not saying, yes, teacher, I understand. I learned that earlier on, because I'll give the assignment and it's like, they say, yes. I said, do you understand? Yes, teacher. And then someone will text me and say, teacher, could you explain the homework? I'm like, wait a minute, where did this conversation in class? So what I do now, I say, okay, I just explained to you the homework. Okay, Jose, what exactly is the homework again? Let everybody understand. And Jose gets a chance to explain it. And I, as a teacher, say, okay, that's not exactly what the homework is. Let's see if we can, rearrange those thoughts. So having that conversation with the students, I think, really, really works. But getting to know them, it's so very, very important. And it doesn't take an extra 20 miles of work or 20 mountain climbs to do it. It's just to be, as we all are as teachers, we're very much in tune with our students and knowing what their weaknesses and their strengths are, and saying, okay, how can I tweak that lesson just for Joseph so he understands? And then I say to Joseph, you're going to get some extra time. Now you got to present to the class and explain to us what you learned so everybody learns. All righty? Good deal. So the next thing I want to talk about is the utilization of games to reinforce the lesson. I absolutely love to incorporate games. The students love it. They will give you a ton of examples of what they do with their phones. So what I do is I say, hey, they're going to want to use their phones and hide it. I remember in the classroom they would do that. Online, you're not quite sure sometimes. Actually, you can see them. But I incorporate some of their games. What are some of the things that you can use to now use as a tool to reinforce, to review what you've learned? Using games. Every Friday, because we're online, I have breakfast with my 7 o'clock class. We call it Fun Friday. And they don't have to know fix big breakfasts. It's just a matter of getting to know your students and saying, well, let's play a game here, have a cup of coffee, we're just going to, and you get a chance to talk to us about what you fixed for breakfast, what your grandmother fixed for breakfast, what's your favorite stuff. Again, it's meaningful task-based things. What's meaningful for them? And one of the things that you can have fun with is the tongue exercises, or you can talk about cognates. They love learning about cognates when they realize that they know thousands of English words already. They're just cognates, whether they be perfect cognates like agenda. It's spelled the same way, and it means the same thing. That is called a perfect cognate. So I give them a list of thousands of perfect cognates that they already know, and they have to come up with some creative way to present it to the class. And then you have your false cognates, and then you have near cognates like conversation, conversación. So I take what they know in Spanish and say, this is the same thing in English. And they are blown away by the opportunity to engage in some fun way, whether it's with Hangman or with, I do Kahoot a lot, which if we had time, I'd play a game of Kahoot with you. We've got 7 more minutes. I'm timing myself here. But I think I have a video on tongue twisters. They absolutely love tongue twisters. And you can do tongue twisters with any level. So that's one of my favorites. I give them a whole list of tongue twisters, and we'll do exercises probably, 1 day a week. We'll do exercises or 2 days a week, and they have to go and do the tongue twister, and I will do a homework assignment online. I would go down and I would read the tongue twister the way they should sound, and I'd tell them, now I want you to record it and mimic my pronunciation. Okay, and that's one of their homework assignments. Then I do it really rapidly so they have fun with it. So here's a tongue twister video. Hopefully we can listen to it for at least a couple of minutes. And you try to do some of these tongue twisters. All right, let's see if I can get to it this time. I know I'm going to master this by the end of... Okay, that's not the one I'm looking for. Here we go. All right, so if you would, just listen to this and try to see if you can get 1 or 2 of the tongue twisters.
Chuck. If a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Okay, so I'd ask them to say that how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And say, huh? We have a blast with this. What it's helping them, is teaching them how to be able to pronounce words, how to listen and pronounce. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Then we speed it up. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And they have so much fun in the process.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
So now let's practice saying this quickly. Ready? Let's see what you got.
Okay. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood? Wait.
Yeah, it's hard to remember that part.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
And there are tons of tongue twisters. I just got an email that someone's having problems hearing. Forgive me, I don't know how to allocate for that or change it. You guys, if you want me to send you copies of tongue twisters or anything I've talked about, I'll be more than happy to share that with you. But I give my students, lists of tongue twisters, and I give them the opportunity. I always empower them. I'm not going to tell you which one to choose. You choose one with your accountability partner. You guys work on it, and you guys put it on our WhatsApp, okay? And then they come back to class and they perform it. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Betty bought a bit of butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it'll make my batter bitter. So Betty bought a bit of butter, and it made her batter better. Okay? It's helping their tongue exercises, their tongue muscles, to be more flexible, to enunciate better. And every child will enjoy this, whether they're 5 years old, they can say it, or 7, or 17, or 75. It's just loads of fun. Okay, so we've got about 3 more minutes. I just want to take you to one of the games I play with my students. I use Kahoot as one of my games for review. So I love to review, and when you say, we're going to give you a test, oh, they start freezing up. So what I do, I put the test in a fun way, and trust me, you guys, I'm not talking about elementary kids. I teach adults, as I said before, college kids and working people, and they love this stuff as adults. In fact, sometimes it seems like the adults enjoy it more. So let me just introduce you to, if you're not accustomed to using Kahoot, I'll just show it at least just a little bit of it so you can see how you can use it to your advantage as well. So this is my Kahoot account, and these are some of the exercises I use for my advanced English words quiz. I will just test them on the quizzes, and they have fun in the process. So say, for instance, with this game, and there are a couple of other games you'll see, I'll just hit play, and then it gives you an opportunity to teach a particular lesson, the classic, in team mode. I think in team mode, you've got to pay extra for that. All right, so what you do, you have everybody on their phones because they're using their phones anyway, right? So you make it fun, you turn the music on, and they love it. They really do. Make sure you down this so you can hear them. All right, so you tell them, hey kids, we're going to do a review. Who wants to play? And when I say kids, I'm talking about adults. Get your phone out and go to Kahoot.it. And they go to their phones, plug into Kahoot.it, and it asks you for a PIN number, 30, 95, 55. And once they do that, if you want to play, if we had time, we would play the game. You plug in your name, and then we start. Some people are playing right now. That's lovely. Okay, if you want to go join Kahoot.it, go ahead and join. Brian, Catherine, Felix, Kat, wonderful. And it just is a lovely time of forcing them to think. And I tell them, hey, we're going to have a quiz tomorrow. They think I'm going to give them a written quiz. We're just going to have fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. We've got 4 people. So we start, and the first word, advanced. Okay, inconceivable means. And on your phone, it gives you 4 options. Unreachable, without boundaries. Unthinkable, without limits. And you got 10 seconds. Actually, I think you got a little bit more. I think you have 15 seconds. And hit the right button. All right, so we know it means unthinkable. And if they get it wrong, if a lot of people get it wrong, I stop, which is the beautiful thing about Kahoot. You get an opportunity to stop and say, okay, let's talk about this word, okay? And the word is inconceivably, the verb, the adverb rather, inconceivably. Unthinkable is absolutely unthinkable. So that's a wonderful way to play the game. And at the end of the game, what happens is it gives prizes to the people who came in first, and they love this. They're like, oh, yeah, that's a guy, woo, yay! So you make a big deal about it. It's lots of fun, you guys. If you've never used it, I really encourage you to do it. And we're going to leave the game right now because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure I finish up with my PowerPoint. I've got about 2 more slides. If that was the tongue twister we talked about. So one other bonus I'd like to leave with you is I execute what I call exit tickets. You can do exit tickets in so many ways. I allocate about 3 minutes before I let my class go, and I go around the room, and everybody has got to tell me something that they learned in the class. Before you can exit, you've got to tell me something you learned. And to encourage them to do it, I say, you can't repeat. And because they can't repeat, they want to fight to be number 1, right? Because you can't repeat. So it's so much fun, you guys. And there are ways. Today I learned, and I didn't know this. I'm not quite sure I understand this. I still have a question about that. So it gives you an opportunity to look at what the students did not get and see if you can put it in tomorrow's lesson plan. So again, there's so many things we can do to make sure that our students are engaging in the conversation and are having fun while they learn. I hope this has been profitable for you, and I thank you for your time. We will open now for questions. Bernard?
Yes. Hey, Sharon. Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. It was really useful. The first question that we have is, Someone wants to know, how does the accountability partner work?
Okay, so at the beginning of class, as I know everybody's in my class, I wait for everybody to be assigned. And so I'll wait for this cycle I did it, last week I did it on Friday. That means I knew everybody was settled in, no one's going to drop the class, and we might have a few more come in because I had someone register today. So I just identify, and I usually do male, female, male, female, male, female. I put them together. And what they have to do, they have to exchange numbers. And they are accountable for each other. They do certain exercises together when I have breakout sessions. I put them together sometimes. And then when they're preparing for exams, they have to talk with their accountability partners, review with their accountability partners, because most of my exams are major speeches or conversations. So when I teach them the structure of how to do it, then they have partnership and friends to collaborate with outside of the classroom. That's how it works.
Okay. Perfect, thank you. Another question is, what is your opinion about serious game as pedagogical resources in class?
Could you please repeat?
Yeah. What is your opinion about serious gaming as pedagogical resources in class?
I don't understand the question. Serious game, you're saying?
Serious game.
I don't understand the question. Serious, could you interpret what that question means?
Basically, it's using it's when you try, this is something that I want to confirm with the person who wrote the question, but it's basically when you use real cases as a gaming for it.
Oh, gamification? Is that what he's talking about? Gamification?
Yeah, that would be part of it, yeah.
Okay, so gamification, I have a wonderful love for gamification, because what gamification does, it really takes serious, real-life situations to another level of learning. And when you incorporate games and gamification with something that gives us not just intrinsic motivation, gamification really deals with extrinsic motivation. What I'm more concerned about is intrinsic motivation. So if you can develop intrinsic motivation in students, so even if they're not getting anything at the end, like, okay, class, if you finish this in 20 minutes, everybody gets a cookie. You know, that's a part of a gamification where you can make it a game and give some sort of reward. What I'm about is making sure that they actually enjoy the process and they can motivate themselves from inside out, not outside in.
Perfect. Another question. How do you know that your students are having fun on a video conference or a video class?
Because they tell me, for one thing, teacher, we're having fun. When I look at my evaluations, one of the things that's consistent, we have fun in this class. My students don't want to miss the class. I have students who say, teacher, please, can I come to your 7 o'clock class because I'm going to miss my class at 9 o'clock. Why? And they don't have to do that. Why do they do that? Because they don't want to miss it. Fun is not just fun and games and not learning. Fun is about making learning so engaging, making learning so meaningful, making learning so enticing that the students feel like they're part of it. And you can see it in their delight. You see it when they laugh, when you get comments back from them, teacher, we really enjoyed this game. And if you miss them, if you overlook them because you told them they're going to do something, and they'll fast to remind you, teacher, I was supposed to do this. Teacher, I was supposed to do this. That tells me they're engaged and they're having fun.
Okay, thank you. Because of time, this would be the last question. Can you use PPR in ludic classes?
Repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you use PPR in ludic classes?
I'm not familiar with what ludic classes are.
Yeah, maybe the person who wrote that one will want to clarify, but basically, well, yeah, PPR will be total physical response. I don't know if you have done total physical response on your classes in virtual classes.
No, I don't think I have. and I don't know what ludic is. So if you want to, please, I'd love to know. I might want to use that technique.
Yeah, probably I will be just answering that particular question because that was part of the previous seminar. Yeah, there are ways that you can actually make your students work around. For example, making them look for things. So I want things that are red. So they have to run all over the place around their houses finding things that are red. Okay,
yes,
so things
I've
like that
done
would
that
be, those things will actually work.
Yeah, I've done that in the classroom, but not here while we were online. But there's a lot of ways you can incorporate that. Absolutely. Say, for instance, with our Friday Fun Friday, when I say, okay, what are you having for breakfast? Describe it for me. What color is this? You know, what is this? What did you fix? So you can always incorporate that by flexibly changing it a little, so it still makes sense online. But one thing I must say, guys, before I go, online is very captivating. What I notice is our students don't want to move. They don't get up. My students hardly get up in 2 hours, and so I have to force them just to get for 5 minutes, stand and take a break, go to the restroom, because they feel so captivated. So that would be a wonderful thing to do, an exercise where you can incorporate that where they run around for 5 minutes and look for products.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Sharon. Our time is up. I just want to remind our friends here that you can review our academic offer on our webpage, virtualepn.edu.ec or at CEC-EPN.edu.ec. Thank you very much. I hope this was useful. We will keep working on other seminars or webinars like this one, so just be in touch. Thank you, guys.
Take care.